Welcome to a commemorative performance of Bomb Happy by Helena Fox and York Normandy veterans. This audio play has been created by Everwitch Theatre to allow communities to come together online to mark 2020 as the 75th anniversary of victory in Europe. The production has been recorded during lockdown, with the creative team working from the safety of their own homes in order to adhere to government COVID-19 guidelines and finding creative and innovative ways to make audio drama. It's been supported using public funding by the National Lottery through Arts Council England. The idea for the play came about in 2015, when the playwright was introduced to the last 5 remaining members of York Normandy veterans. Helena wrote, "The aim for us all, veterans and myself, at the outset of the project, was to write a play that captured these soon-to-be-lost first-hand accounts of D-Day and the Normandy campaign. It became apparent during the interviews, however, that this wasn't just going to be about those events, but about the hidden world of long-term conflict trauma and a dedication to all the young men who lost their lives. This play is for all of them, for we cannot know all their stories." Bomb Happy contains first-hand testimonies from recorded interviews carried out by Helena with the last 5 York Normandy veterans in 2016, as well as written memoirs and army and personal correspondence held at York Explore Library and Archive, belonging to the following veterans.
Private George Meredith, nickname Merry, from Stratford East, driver and Army dispatch rider with 11th Armoured Division, portrayed by Carl Whaley.
Private Ken Smith, nickname Smudger, from Armley, Leeds, 5th Battalion, Duke of Cornwall's Light Infantry, portrayed by Joe Sample.
Private, then Corporal, Albert Barrett, nickname Bert, from Bermondsey, London, 2nd Battalion, East Yorkshire Regiment, 3rd Yorkshire Division, portrayed by Thomas Lillywhite.
Private Ken Cooke, nickname Cookie, from York, 7th Battalion, the Green Howards, then the Highland Light Infantry, portrayed by Danny Mellor.
Guardsman Dennis Haydock, nickname Hank, from Sheffield, gunner in Sherman Tank, 2nd Battalion, Coldstream Guards, portrayed by Jack Chamberlain.
Before we start the play, here's a very short recording taken from the documentary The Last Liberators by Daniel Saunders, of 2 of our Normandy veterans, Bert Barrett and Ken Smith. Here they discuss their reactions to seeing the play at the 2017 premiere and explain the meaning behind the title Bomb Happy. Bert is first to speak.
To hear the words spoken, it was quite special, wasn't it? During the war, nobody ever thought that we'd be making a play about it.
What I like about it is that it is correct in it is actual veterans' own experiences and not something that's been written by a military historian. So it's absolutely factual and in our own words. Bomb Happy is a slang word that we use for being under fire for many days at a time. It might sound that it's a bit frivolous to use that word, but it does describe the condition that you become.
That was Normandy veterans Bert Barrett, who passed away in October last year, aged 94, and Ken Smudger Smith, who passed away earlier this year, aged 95. At the end of part 3, please listen out for some special closing words from Normandy veteran Ken Cooke, nickname Cookie. This audio recording contains 2 fictional characters, the signaller, transmitting messages home, as imagined by the playwright, and Queenie, a character inspired by wives of Normandy veterans. Queenie speaks the actual testimonies of Mrs. Daphne Doran, a York Normandy veteran widow, and Mrs. Gloria Smith, wife of Ken Smudger Smith. Please be aware that the dialogue is taken from verbatim first-hand accounts and includes some vernacular appropriate to the 1940s era regarding disability. This play has been recorded in 3 separate downloadable parts. This is part 1.
He had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill and he marched them down
Bomb Happy by Helena Fox and York Normandy veterans. Part 1. Home, England.
Me and my husband, we was at Arromanch. I remember it very well. All the York Normandy vets all went over to France for the 50th anniversary. D-Day, you know. There were a lot more of them still alive then. And me and my husband, we was at Arromanch, and there was 2 parties of school children there having their lunch. And my husband he was very quiet. He was stood up looking out to sea. And the teacher came over to me and said, "Can we ask, was your husband here during war?" So I said, "Oh yes, on this beach." So this teacher went back, told the other teacher, got all the children together and said about this gentleman that had come back. And they surrounded him, these children, thanking him. Thanked him, they did. Merci, monsieur, you know. Because of him, they were having this lovely life sort of thing. And he broke down completely. And I got down on my knees outside of him to say, "It's okay." And he said, "Nobody has any idea at all. Nobody. The horrors that I've seen. I want to go home. I don't want to ever come here again or even talk about it again." And he just clammed up, kept it to himself. I can't even begin to imagine what he saw. I don't think anybody can ever explain, no matter how old these veterans get each year and what they tell you. I don't know how any one of us can actually experience what they went through. The things they saw, the things they had to, things they were made to do. No choice. Every single one of them says that. Conscription. No choice. And they were just bairns, really. Not much more than children themselves. Just ordinary kids.
Can you hear me? Do you read me back home? Are you listening? Report. The mist is lifting. Over. Do you read me? Report. 5 young lads approaching. They're coming closer. Kids. No more than 18 years old, I reckon. They're coming within earshot. They're in battle dress. All different regiments. But they're British, all right. Over.
Me name's Mary. They can't pronounce my name in the battalion. Meredith. So they all call me Mary. And this here is Smudger.
Everyone has a nickname in the army, you know, and being Smith, I'm called Smudger. Smudger Smith, chalky white, you know, that sort of thing. A Yorkshire lad, but they put me
in the Duke of Cornwall's light infantry. They couldn't get any further away than that, could they?
And I'm a Londoner and put in the Yorkshires. A Bermondsey boy. As a child, I see Tower Bridge every day. I'm Bert, by the way, and this is...
Cookie's the name. I'm in the Green Howards. I'm an infantryman like Smudger and Bertie, you know, what they call the PBI. The Poor Bloody Infantry. I grew up in East Kirby, Nottingham, before we come to York, so a small mining village. My father's a miner.
Father works on the docks. Mother scrapes a living from a dressmaking.
My father's a grinder in the steelworks. Hank the Tank Haydock. That's me. They used to call me Haddock. Now, you'd think, being a haddock, I'd be able to swim, wouldn't you? But I can't. So, now it's Hank. Don't really know why. Rhymes with tank, I suppose. I live in Sheffield, in a back-to-back house in what they called Addis Street. And it's a very poor... Me mother and father are poor. And they can't speak properly. They're deaf and dumb. But I managed to communicate with them on me fingers.
My mother's deaf, actually, and so's father. Met at deaf school.
The house we live in's 3 4 stories high. But we're down in the basement, just off the Stratford High Road. Me and me brother and me Uncle Tom now lives with us, and he's a boxer. Oh, yeah. Many a time my mother came home and he has me hanging out the window by me feet.
We kids go to the local. We have like a recreation ground with all the swings and seesaws and all that there. We play football and cowboys and Indians, and we really enjoy that, you know. One day you're a cowboy, next day you're an Indian. We get all the bumps and scrapes and everything. And what the grown-ups say is, "Ah, that's nothing, go play again." And off we go.
Move about a bit, because my father likes the south. Leave Leeds and live in Bournemouth, live in Brighton, live in Ashford in Kent. We're on the flight path for the German planes heading for London, and so we watch the Battle of Britain from our back garden.
I'm in the boys' brigade. I play the drum. Play in the Albert Hall one day. Our grand bandmaster marches us down the steps, and the bugles play, and I play the drums. I can't remember the tune we play. Well, with drumming, sometimes you make your own.
Me and my pal Derek go on our bicycles down to Dover and stand on the cliffs and watch the German Stuka dive bombers bombing the shipping going through the channel there. And if an aircraft shot down, a German plane, we get on our cycles and we try to beat the police and the military to the crash site. And if we get there before them, we take souvenirs. Bits and pieces of aircraft.
Never think about what I want to do with my life when I'm growing up. Nothing. Never think about that. You don't look ahead. You only look what the day is. Live each day as it come. And I'm 16 when I sign up. I want to sign up, yeah. I volunteer. I mean, me 2 mates go as well, and Bill says I'm going, so he says if you're going, we're going. I mean, the only entertainment we got here in Stratford is going down the wreck, so we think it's an adventure. And we goes to Wick's Cross, the other side of Wanstead Flats, and Bill signs up first, I go second and mate Stewart come third. They don't do no checks and nothing. If you're willing to go, you're willing to go. They just take my word for it that I'm 18. I'm as big as Bill is, so they just look at us and say, sign here. So I sign here and there's your shilling. And then they say, you're a soldier in the army. They kit us out and all that. Me, Bill and Stuart in our uniforms and all that. And we go and we march through town. And where do we go to start our soldier training? To Westcliff High School. For girls. We end up in a bloody girls' school.
1943, December, just before Christmas, when they send me the letter saying, come here, we want you. 18, yeah. Go up to Richmond. My mum and dad come down to the station, see me off. Have a little attaché case, battered it is. It's been in the family years sort of thing, you know. Sort of thing I can carry my gear in and go up to Richmond. We start our 6-week training then.
I'm not worried about being called up or going to fight.
I think most of us are looking forward to the excitement.
Being called up for the army being in the army is a relief in some respects, because I leave my mother and father behind. And of course, I don't like doing that. I'm sad to leave my mother, because my mother being deaf has to rely on me quite a lot. In some ways, it's a relief. They don't stop me from going.
I take the line. It's an order from the government, so I'm happy to do it. In spite of my faith.
I know nothing, very little about the political situation. I know there's a chap called Hitler who isn't a very nice gentleman, but we don't know. We don't know much about what's going on, and the second I enter the barrack, I come from a good Christian family. I don't mean a religious family like Bert, but I'm not streetwise. I don't run the streets. And the second I'm in the army, I'm taught to kill. Kill with weapons. Without weapons. It's surprising. You don't know how easy it is to kill a person without a weapon. It's frightening to think how easy it is to kill a person. Or with a knife if you wanted. And I hope I never have to.
Report, June 5th, 1944, evening. Location, south coast of England. Infantryman Burt, 2nd Battalion, East Yorkshire Regiment. Cookie, 7th Battalion, Green Howards. And Smudger, 5th Battalion, Duke of Cornwall's Light Infantry, awaiting orders. This is D-Day, -1. Over.
After 6 weeks training in the Fusiliers, I'm posted to Richmond. And I'm rubbing my hands thinking, Richmond, Surrey. That's good. That's near home. Might get a chance of nipping home at the weekends. Turns out it's only Richmond, Yorkshire. I've been posted to the East Yorks Regiment. Have to learn a whole new language. Then, 3 weeks before Normandy start, they lock us in camps and we can't get out. I'm transferred to a camp outside Portsmouth, Waterlooville. There's no leave, no passes, and every letter is censored. But then, suddenly, they begin to tell you what's happening. They begin to give you information.
Sergeant says, "Right, lads, there's an officer further down and he'll show you what you're going to do." And there's 3 or 4 trestle tables laid out with old photographs of French coast, Normandy coast. 200 of us all trying to jump up and get a look at these photographs. You can imagine we were sort of, shift out, let's have a look, sort of thing. And that's when we know. We're told we're going to land in France.
Oh, yes. Last minute. We know it's Normandy, but where Normandy is, I've no idea. Although I left school at 14 and a half, I have a reasonable education, but I don't realise. I don't tie it up with 1066. I've no idea where Normandy is.
People have asked me about this, and I'm not frightened. I'm not scared or anything like that. It's just the adventure to me. We never been on a ship before, but we're here in Southampton. We see all these ships, think, oh, lovely. All these big ships. Oh, look at it.
My watchword is, I'm in God's hands. I'm not expecting him to save me life, but I'm in his hands for whatever it is he wants.
5th of June. We're boarding this ship in New Haven, an old coastal steamer. And this is it. We're under no illusions. If this invasion fails, there'll be no second chance. We'll be under Nazi rule.
Report, 6th June. Operation Overlord has commenced. I repeat, Operation Overlord has commenced. Infantryman Cookie and Smudger approaching Gold Beach. This is D-Day. Over.
Everybody up! 4:30 in the morning. D-Day. fast asleep in our bunks, and the announcements coming out the loudspeakers. Going to the mess. Scotch porridge with salt. Not sugar. Salt. Horrible stuff it is. Corned beef sandwich and a tot of rum. Get all your weapons together and your pack and everything. Get ready. And we're all up on the deck. And there's a certain time, 6 or 7 miles from the coast, we have to scramble down the nets into the landing craft. We're all a bit scared because the landing craft are up and down like that, and we're having to time it where you drop off the landing net into the landing craft. And now we're all in like, all ready, and we're setting off towards the beach.
There's nearly 7,000 vessels in the channel. There's 4,500 landing craft, 1,000-odd naval vessels, submarines. There's thousands of aircraft flights. I mean, the noise is there. The noise is, well, horrific. And yet on board the landing craft it's silent. People are even whispering. It's funny as this. There's all that noise going on, and yet you're whispering on board. It's almost complete silence. Because although we may be rough and ready and irreligious, we're all praying to the Almighty for deliverance. On this day, on the British boats. I mean, we have a padre on our boat, and they're quite literally queuing up to be blessed by him. People who would never probably go to church, normally.
The battleships and all the explosions start, you know. The firing at the beaches, rockets, smoke, noise. You've never heard anything like it, you know. As we're approaching the beaches, quite a few of us have been seasick because up and down like this, you know. But I'm not. I'm that excited. I'm leaning on the side of the ship, watching all the fireworks going off, you know, thinking, this is interesting.
We're all terrified. Yes. But we want to get ashore, because if we're only slightly wounded getting off the boats, we sink. The weight of the equipment. We've got on about £60 worth of equipment. It'll just take us to the bottom. I'll just drown.
As we're getting near to the beach, we see the cross pieces. Mines. Quite a few explode and destroy the other landing craft. And suddenly we're bumping into one of these. But for some reason, it doesn't go off. Ours doesn't go off. We're carrying on onto the beach, and some of the other landing crafts don't get in as far as we do. There's a strong current. There's a strong current this side of the channel, and it builds the sand up underneath, builds a sandbank like this under the water. Now, the landing craft is hitting that bank and is thinking, oh, we're at the beach. Drop the ramp. The chaps are jumping off and straight down into about 20 foot of water, 10 foot, 20 foot of water with all the gear. Don't stand a chance. But we're very lucky. I'm very lucky because I land in about 6 inches of water. We're right up on the beach, and there's some people, even the tank landing craft, they think they've landed, but no, the tanks are rolling off and they're going straight down. No chance for people inside the tanks, whatever. People inside don't stand a chance. We get right up onto the beach, drop the landing ramp, step off, and I'm stepping off into about this much water. Just getting me socks wet, you know. Ugh. Look at that. Wet all me sock. That's just how I feel. I ain't bothered about explosions. Wet socks, that's all I'm bothered about, you know.
The ramp goes down and we're getting machine guns. I mean, the German machine guns are firing twice the rate of ours. About 1,400 rounds a minute compared with our 700. And the thing is, to get ashore quick as possible and get off the beach because it's just full of shells, mortar bombs and rockets. All I can see is the sand spurting up, and I know that there's mines all the way up on the beach. So even though the Royal Engineers, as they've come ashore, have put some tapes down where they're clearing mines, they can't clear everything. There's so many. And the next thing I see is body parts flying in the air, and I know I'm in the minefield.
We have to get off the... People are falling and they aren't getting up again, you know? It's just as kiddies, but we used to playing Indians and cowboys. You fall down, then get up and you change sides. You be an Indian one day and a cowboy another day, that sort of thing, you know? But these chaps are falling and they aren't getting up again. It's the real thing. These bullets are real.
I haven't seen anybody dead before. And we're in the water, wading to the shore, and we're literally brushing against what looks like logs. And they're just bodies rolling in the surf. People that we know. 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they're people that we know.
But you aren't allowed to stop once you get on the beach. You aren't allowed to stop on the beach. You have to keep going. If anybody falls, you don't... Whether it's your pal or anything, you leave him to the medics.
There's one of our chaps. There's a 19-year-old lad, a Cockney lad, in our company. He's a stockily built little Cockney, bombastic, bragging, he's afraid of nobody and nothing. And he struts about. He doesn't walk. He swaggers, telling anybody who will listen to him he's frightened of nothing and nobody, and how he runs rings round the police when he runs with this gang in London. I'm literally shaking. With fear. Not shivering. Shaking on the assault boats, and all of a sudden I feel a hand on my shoulder, and I think it must be an officer or a senior NCO coming to tell me to pull myself together. And when I look round, it's this little Cockney lad. And he says in a shaky voice, he says, "I'm scared, mate. After all this." So I just says to him, "We'll stick together. Look after each other." And I stop shaking. I mean, I feel I have to set an example. And immediately the ramp goes down, bop down into the water met with, and we're getting it from the left flank. And we're zigzagging up where the tapes have been put down by the Royal Engineers, supposedly safe ground. And out the corner of my eye, the little Cockney lad goes down. He's down. And you're not allowed to stop. You do automatically reflex, just hesitating, this voice from behind shouting, "Keep going, lad!" And I have no choice. I have to keep going. You get to the top of the beach, there's a drainage ditch that runs down, and that's where we regroup on the drainage ditch, and we get to this, like a drainage ditch. Our officer is there waiting for me. I'm carrying the wireless set, and the officer's shouting, "Signaller!" And I hand him the microphone. Next thing, I hear words I've never heard before. I learn some choice words as the air turns blue because it doesn't work. The radio isn't working. And now he has me stripping the set down in the midst of the landing battle. In the middle of the beach, I'm having to find myself a little scrape in the sand and start taking the receiver and the transmitter to pieces. And I'm taking the receiver out, and there's a machine gun bullet lodged in the receiver and one in the battery. The radio saved me life. But he's sending me back. I'm to go back and find a dead signaller. All the traffic, all the vehicles, all the people coming up the beach, and me trying to go. They're thinking I'm trying to run away. Because we passed one of our signallers that I knew on the way up that was laid. That had been killed. And I'm having to roll him over and take the receiver out the back of his set, his wireless, and his sound valves off him. And I've never handled or seen anything that has... This is the first time I've seen anybody. Violent death. You know?
We carry on. We have to get off the beaches as quickly as possible. We follow up through our 6th Battalion. They land Thursday at 7:30, we land at 7:45, and they carry on first through the 6th and get in their positions. And when we land, we carry on. We go through their positions, clear a village, and then they came through us. We clear a village, they clear a village. We carry on. Any mopping up to do, we do after the 6th have gone. Any mopping up to do, they clear up after we've gone. Our regiment. We get the furthest on D-Day. I think we crossed the railway line that goes to Cannes, and we're having to pull back because we've gone too far. We're scared of being cut off, so we have to pull back. And this is the furthest point of this day we reach, and we've gone too far. We're having to pull back.
They get as far as Bayeux the first day. That's the first town to be liberated in France. But all we're having to do is regroup and try and find the rest of our unit. So we're just making our way cautiously about half a mile and then we dig in.
We settle in for the night, and we're watching the German planes coming over to see if they can bomb the harbour where we've landed, you know. There's only one or two, and we can see them up there. We can see the searchlights going on with the anti-aircraft, and there's this thing they call Monty's Moonlight. Montgomery. They call it his moonlight. It's like daylight. All the searchlights on the horizon, hundreds of searchlights. And we're asking, where's Jim? Where's Harry? Oh, we got killed. You're looking for your mate, sort of thing, and they aren't there. You say, what happened to... Have you seen him? Oh, he got killed. That's the conversation that's going on, and it's a bit... When the following day you realise what's happening, you don't realise what's happening on D-Day. Everything's exciting, you know, never been anything like it before. It's just a big adventure to us young lads, and suddenly it's getting serious for us, you know. We've seen things that we shouldn't have done, sort of thing, you know. You join up with the fellas and you go for a drink while you was over there in England and all play football and all the rest of it with the regiment and get to know them and everything. And when somebody says so-and-so's been killed, oh, I used to play football with him.
I never found out if the Cockney lad was just wounded or killed or anything. I mean, there's been, 12,500 casualties on D-Day? 4,500 British killed on this one day.
You know, after all this happens, you realise what you've seen and what you've been through, sort of thing, you know. And it really upsets you. You feel a bit scared because the adrenaline isn't there then, it's got serious. You've seen your friends killed.
In part 1 of Bomb Happy by Helena Fox and the York Normandy veterans, Mary was portrayed by Carl Wiley, Smudger by Joe Sample, Cookie by Danny Mellor, Bert by Thomas Lillywhite, Hank by Jack Chamberlain, Queenie by Beryl Nairn, and The Signaller by Joe Rivis. The soundtrack was composed by Sam McAvoy. Sound design was by Ben Pugh. The presenter, Cal Stockbridge, associate producer, Jack Chamberlain, and the director was Helena Fox. The veteran interviews were recorded by Daniel Saunders, with additional recording by Matt Edwards for Bert Barrett. This was an Everwitch Theatre audio production, made during lockdown, and is supported through public funding by the National Lottery through Arts Council England. When you are ready, please listen to part 2.